I am here with Roxanne Hegquist today, and she is a functional medicine practitioner specializing in nutrition, lifestyle, and supplementation. She serves as the clinical lead for Science and Humans, which is a Canada-wide virtual health platform supporting individuals on their wellness journeys. Originally, she's from British Columbia, and she's spent quite a bit of time in Edmonton over the past 10 years and recently moved back to Cranbrook. And she very much enjoys the beauty of BC and is very excited to call it home again. So Roxanne loves spending quality time with her husband of 32 years and their 14-year-old daughter. Together, they enjoy cooking, healthy whole foods, embarking on road trips, connecting with friends, and exploring the stunning surroundings of the Kootenay region. So I'm very happy to have Roxanne here as she's going to share why she is supporting Hope Channel Canada.
Great. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks for having me. So the reason why I'm supporting the Hope Channel Canada, I'm really excited that it's sort of getting more exposure, and I'm really hoping for the potential of new and meaningful content that really connects people on a deeper level. Especially, I would love to see female-led content that really explores how valuable our relationship with God is in a practical, everyday type way, because I feel women really connect and resonate with other women when we talk about actual real life situations, which is amazing. A show that could just really encourage each other and talk about different struggles, triumphs, and joys, just real world stuff. And it's really important. I also really love the idea of Hope Channel maybe getting some practical, relatable health and longevity content into a show where we talk about actual health and wellness on a practical level with real world content, as in what people are eating, doing, how we're living right now, really practical stuff, physical health, emotional health, and spiritual health, and how that all really ties together. Super important. It's a huge passion for me. So I'd love to see, again, female-led content that really encourages and brings us together, both external and internal. And then health and wellness content would be amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. We appreciate your feedback, and
You're so welcome.
Forward to adding on more content.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Hi, Michaela. Thank you so much for joining us today on Agents of Hope. It is great to have you as our special guest today. And to start off, I just love for you to share a little bit more about your background and your story.
Well, I grew up in Edmonton. I was born and raised here. I went to school, an Adventist school, Coralwood Adventist Academy, from when I was in grade kindergarten to grade 9. And then I switched over to Edmonton Christian High School for high school. And then I grew up in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I grew up at West Seventh-day Adventist Church. And there I was surrounded by lots of music, lots of church choirs always happening, praise teams, lots of gospel music. I grew up and was surrounded by that, in that community. So I was always from when I was a child, I was always in the church choirs. I was in my children's choir at that church. And then when I was older, I moved up into the youth choir. And so, yeah, I was always constantly up on stage singing, whether that was special music, whether that was choir performance, always up there singing. And I grew up in a very musical family. So my dad is a very musical guy. He runs his school choirs, and he used to run his church choirs at West, and he still has his own group, New Season of Praise, that I have also joined. So he's always been very musical. My mom is also a very musical person. She has a lot of musical people in her family. So I grew up me and my brother, we both grew up in a very musical household. We were always doing special musics at church, singing in the choirs. So yeah. And then I was in lessons from when I was a young girl. I started out with piano, and then when I was in my preteen years, I did voice, and then I started classical training when I was 15, and then here I am.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And, since we are here on Hope Channel Canada, I would also love to ask you about the impact of media in general on your life.
Well, for me, media has honestly had both a negative and positive impact on my life. Media is everywhere. We see it like on the street, on our phones, like on TV, everywhere. Media is like follows us all around. And so when it comes to the negative impacts of media, I feel like there are a lot of standards and expectations that are on the media that like we feel expected to follow, like whether that's beauty standards, health standards, expectations for even like what our faith should look like. That can be a really damaging thing to someone's self-esteem. So for me, I try not to be on media that much. However, there are a lot of positive impacts that media has had on my life. For me, I've tailored my feed on like Instagram and like TikTok to be a lot of faith-based stuff and just encouraging and positive stuff. Anything that's negative, I just click not interested and scroll it away. And so I get a lot of influencers who are Christian, and there are a lot of people out there sharing the gospel and like just sharing the gospel in a way that is relatable to everyone. Especially for me, like it's really important that they share it in a way that's relatable for young adults because I am a young adult. And so that stuff can be really encouraging for me. And then I also really like seeing like encouraging stuff on there as well. So it's had both negative and positive impact on my life as I've been growing up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we can all say that. And you have certainly talked a little bit about music and how that is a passion of yours and how you grew up in that, and that is a media in itself. And so I'm curious, why does it hold such a special place in your heart besides, being surrounded by it growing up?
Well, I know music has given me so many opportunities to grow in community with other people. Whether that's singing in choirs, singing in like singing groups, or just singing in praise teams at church. Um, it's given me a lot of opportunity to um, share something that I love with people who are similar to me or not even similar to me, who we just share the love of music with each other. Especially like recently, now that I'm like in a music degree at the university, I do a lot of like things with people, like whether that's singing in choirs or opera chorus. And that's given me a great opportunity to share in that community with people. So that is a very important part of it for me. And it's always just been like a creative outlet for me. Like when I'm feeling upset or when I'm feeling down, I pick up my guitar and I like, play a song. And it's always been something that like soothes me and just makes me feel fulfilled. And that it's always been such a big part of my life. So yeah, that community aspect is really important for me and just like the fulfillment that I get from it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to pick up on something you did share, and I want to expand a little bit more and just ask you to share more about how you're using music currently to bring hope to those who are around you.
Well, I feel like, okay, when I sing, I've been working on my main goal recently for when I sing. Um, and I've learned that the main goal when you're singing is not to enjoy it for yourself. The goal is to share that with others. So I like always try to keep in mind, like, I'm not singing for myself. I'm singing for that one person in the audience who may be feeling lost or hopeless or confused about life right now. And I'm here to help them to feel something and be sure of something. Um, and so I feel like the goal really is to just to share. It's to share an emotion, share a story, and whether that story resonates with someone, that can give hope to a lot of people, I feel like. And so that's mainly what I've been focusing on with music in this past year, especially. I've been doing a lot of singing and performing, and that comes with a lot of learning and learning who you're doing this for, and that can I've learned for myself that that can really bring out the performance a lot. So yeah, that's basically. Yeah.
Oh, and thank you for sharing that. And I can see that passion is really within you. So hopefully you're able to continue to use that gift in a great way. And so my final question for you is what are your parting words or any parting words of encouragement that you have for those agents of hope that are watching today?
Well, there's a lot of stuff going on in the media and in our world right now that seem very unsettling and scary and just like confusing. And so my word of advice is to, if you see something that makes you anxious, take a minute away from the media and explore something that makes you feel happy. Whether that's painting, writing, music. I think it's really important to have a creative outlet or an outlet in general that we can go to when we're feeling stressed or when we're feeling worried, especially in this world, because, you never know, like your creative outlet could help someone feel hopeful and make someone else feel happy. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for joining us as an agent of hope and spreading the positive use of media and how you're bringing hope to those around you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I'm here with Rowena Njlovu today. She is a devoted wife, a loving mom, and a faithful child of God. And every day she strives to walk in alignment with God's will and to make him proud through her actions and decisions. She's very passionate about serving others, and she seeks to represent his kingdom by living a life of purpose, love, and faith. With a heart for her family and community, she believes in the transformative power of God's grace and promises. And she is grounded in scripture and driven by faith, and she's committed to living a life that glorifies God in all that she does. And Rowena and her family have spent quite a bit of time up north in Nunavut. And so I would love for you to share, why you're choosing to support Hope Channel Canada.
Yeah, so Hope Channel truly changed my life. I grew up in the church, yes, but the Sabbath School Quarterly was not something that I was into. I looked at it as an old people's thing until being up north, there's something that it does something to you because you need to fill your time with things. And I soon realized that, okay, on Saturdays, apart from my kids going to Sabbath school, I also needed to have something that I can read and can uplift me and can be something that's encouraging. So I started reading the quarterly, but then sometimes I just was like, man, I don't understand it well enough. I need to have plain language, or especially when you're doing the Daniel series or the Revelation. And Hope Channel, my husband was actually the one who was like, hey, there's a Hope Channel that has Sabbath School Quarterly programs on Sabbath. That is very plain language. You can understand it. It's quick. And that's what happened. And so it really, for me, has encouraged my personal growth and spiritual connection. And it's what really has made me grow in my faith spiritually. And I truly, truly thank God for this. And I hope that we continue to see, our Hope Channel continues to uplift and has faith-based content that encourages other people's personal growth and spiritual connection as well.
Absolutely. We are excited for that. And thank you so much for your support.
Thank you.
Hello, Chaitan family. It is great to have you here on Agents of Hope today. Thank you so much for joining us. And we've heard a little bit about you from the introduction. And so it'd be wonderful just to get your names before we start our first question.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Kezia. Hi, my name is Kayandra.
My name is Jesse.
My name is Jaden.
And my name is Carlina.
Wonderful to meet you all. And so my first question is essentially, why do you do what you do? What causes you to go out and to live this lifestyle of full-time ministry?
We've felt a special calling on our lives ever since we were young, and we've taken on as a challenge that the Lord has placed on our heart to reach as many people as we can. So that is pretty much our life's mission, is to reach as many people for Him, whether that is in church or outside of church, wherever He calls us to go, we will go. Because what this world needs right now is Jesus, and we are trying to bring Him to as many people as we can.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And, traditionally on Hope Channel Canada, when we're talking about media and the impact of media here on Agents of Hope, I like to ask someone, or all of you, whoever would like to share how media has impacted you personally, and why you chose to make really a lifestyle out of it and to make it a large part of your life. So I'd love to hear from you on that.
I would say that media does have a big impact, especially if you're somebody who consumes. I know, especially during COVID, that, people were looking for a lot of things that they could, like experience, that they could, and distract themselves in a way. And I know for myself, I have, spent a lot of times like looking through various sermons or looking at, different people talking about their walk with God, their testimonies, or the things that they're doing. And media is a very great avenue of being able to share the love of Jesus, of kind of like a great way for people to trip over on the gospel, because sometimes we might not be looking for something, but then it ends up in our feed, or it ends up, in our recommended watches. And so I think it's a great way to be able to minister to people, especially ones that you might not have been, in touch with prior to. And it's a great way to have, apart from, let's say, your individual devotions, to have a way of getting your spiritual fill throughout the week. You don't have to wait until on a Sabbath to be able to, watch a sermon, or to hear great singing, or, beautiful pieces that are spiritually edifying. You can experience that throughout the week.
I'm curious to hear how you are currently seeing media being used in your own ministry to bring hope to people.
Well, we've been on our YouTube channel and all our other social media stuff. We were doing it back in the day, but now that we've been doing a lot more, we went to Grenada in 2020, and we were stuck and we had really nothing to do. And then that's when like social media and stuff took up. And Kezia had the bright idea to start a worship that we do every night, Friday night. And we did that for a while. And then we came up to the US, and we said, we can't stop it. We got to keep going because it's reaching a whole lot of people. And we get so many testimonies about it that whenever we miss a weekend, they're like, we missed it. We were looking forward to it. We were waiting for it. So it's been a great time, and it's a lot easier to reach people with social media than it is to do in person, because you can reach a whole lot of people around the whole world that you can't do in a day.
Absolutely. Very true. Very true. And I'm going to change gears a little bit and from media to talking a little bit more about the community. Kezia, when we had chat on the phone briefly, you had mentioned some of the things that you as a family are doing that you're passionate about, that's bringing hope to your community. And so I would love for you guys to share a little bit about that and kind of what you're working on, what you're passionate about there.
For us as a family, we are very privileged to go around the world and all about the US and Canada. So for some places, we have gone to the prisons in America, Kenya, Grenada, Canada. We've gone to a lot of prisons throughout the whole world. So I believe that as we are going throughout everywhere, spreading God, that we can bring hope to a lot of people, because even when people bring us to like restaurants, like someone's sharing a birthday and the people who took us, we like, sing them happy birthday, and then we would, and then we'll sing a gospel song right after. So throughout the whole world, we can spread hope everywhere.
And there are also a lot of different places that we do. Carlena mentioned prisons. We also do hospitals, nursing homes, schools. So it's pretty much wherever the Lord opens the door, we go.
And you had mentioned a little bit about a nonprofit that you had started. Do you mind speaking on that a little bit?
Sure. So we have actually two nonprofits, I guess technically one nonprofit, but there is a Kenyan branch. So our nonprofit, I would say, doesn't really fall into a specific niche, as we kind of spoke about on the phone. We really just try to be the hands and feet of God. So wherever we can to be able to help people, that's what we try to do. So like, especially in Kenya, we have a school that we have sponsored. Just to summarize that story a little bit, we found that school in 2018, in the month of January. And it was in such deplorable condition that the government wanted to shut it down. And because we saw what they were trying to do in taking the children from the slums and trying to educate them so they could break the cycle, we're like, we can't let this, school be shut down. So when we came back to Canada, we sold our house. And with the funds from that house and ministering in different places, we were able to renovate that school by September of that same year, and put in new bathrooms and put in a water tank. And it's just amazing how God has just worked all of that out. And that project has not ended as yet. We are still looking to make a new block and give them some extracurriculars because, some of us work, well with academics. Some of us are more hands-on. Some of us are more artistic. And so we want to give them a fighting chance in the world. And so we're working on a new block that will incorporate some of those things. Additionally, we're working to have that nonprofit being self-sustaining. So we are looking at like getting a chicken coop that they can use that towards generating a revenue or helping others while still doing all the other outreach that we have down there. And besides that school, we have other little projects that we're doing there with other families and stuff. Up here, our ministry takes on different forms. We have helped young people go through college. We have a gentleman who graduated this year or last year? Last year.
I think it was last year.
Yeah, last year he graduated from a university. So we try just to do whatever we can, scholastic stuff. Sorry, was that what you were going to touch on? Go ahead. Oh, you go for it.
Yeah, we do school supplies. We also do clothing drives. We do feeding the homeless programs as well as especially around the holidays when most people are with their families. We will make special packages and give out to the homeless so at least they have somebody who is extending that kindness to them. So we have had different things that we do. I think that covers most of what I can remember.
So thank you so much for sharing some tangible examples of how one can be an agent of hope in their own community. And so my last question for you before we wrap up our time together is any parting words that you have for those agents of hope that are watching, any words of wisdom or encouragement that you'd like to leave them with?
Okay, I think I'll take this question. So, some people would feel like, how can I give hope? I don't sing, I don't preach, nothing like that. We could take Moses, for example, even though he didn't like speaking, so we got Aaron. And, even in our group, a lot of us don't like speaking. So we all have our strengths. She's our resident spokesperson, but, you got all of us to talk today. But even in our group, we all have our different strengths and our way of sharing hope, whether it's through what we sing, what we say, what we do, etc. And for all the Jamaican listeners out there, I'm going to use a Jamaican phrase to describe what I'm about to say, and it's one cocoa full basket. All right, how is that? Come on. No, okay, all right. But it simply means one small thing can still fill the basket. It doesn't have to be a whole big thing at once. If a child takes a pebble and puts it in a pail, eventually the pail will fill up. Even if a grown man takes a shovel, he'll fill the pail up a lot faster. But eventually that pail will fill up. So you can start out small, in your community. Then it can become your state. Then it can become the country. Then it can become the world. It just takes just a little bit at a time. You don't have to start big. You can start small, But God has blessed each and every one of us with an opportunity to share hope. So don't take your gift for granted. Just ask God for guidance. But, you can spread hope right where you are.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. I couldn't agree more. Thank you for joining us on Agents of Hope and for bringing hope to your own community and inspiring those who are watching. So continued blessings on all that you do. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us. It's been an honor.
Hello, everybody. This is Michelle here, and I just wanted to share we have a very special guest here today, Carrie Zaharani, who has shared previously why she is supporting Hope Channel Canada, and I wanted to give her the chance to share today. So, Carrie was born and raised in Edmonton, Alberta, and became a hairdresser straight out of high school, and had her son Adam in 1993. Met her husband Zach shortly after in 97 and got married in 2000 in South Africa. And they lived in St. Albert for a long time, and she started attending Red Willow Community Church when they were living there. And in 2020, on April 15th, she lost her father to cancer, unfortunately. But 3 years later, on that very same day, she surrendered her heart to her Heavenly Father and built a covenant with Him and got baptized. So with God's help, she's turned that incredibly sad day into something that is a blessing for her life. So currently, her and her husband, Zach, are fulfilling his dream of living by a lake in the mountains. So they are residing in Adams Lake, British Columbia, and enjoying their retirement and looking forward to many new adventures. And so I'm excited for how she's going to serve God there and the impact she can make. But I would love for you, Carrie, just to share a little bit about why you have chosen to support Hope Channel Canada.
Hi everyone. Hope Channel is fairly new for me. I've been introduced to it by Michelle this past fall. And, living at the lake, sometimes the internet is not all the greatest, you can download certain things and save certain things. But once in a while, I will go on the Hope Channel and just I'm fairly new with my relationship with the church. And even though I grew up with the church, I came back in my late 40s. And it's just nice because it's right at the end of your fingertips. We always have our phone in our hands typically, and it's right there. And if I need something spiritual to enlighten me or just to help me guide me through my day, it's right there. We have, the Hope Channel has sermons. They have music, they worship, Bible study, stuff for kids, stuff for every age group. And it's all there. And I think it's just super convenient, and it just helps you grow with God more. It's right there. And I really highly recommend everyone checking it out to help Channel 2 grow and get bigger so we can reach the masses. And I'm pretty excited about it. And I just want to share with everyone that I love the Hope Channel.
Thank you so much for sharing. We appreciate your support, for continually praying and taking in the content and sharing with those that you love. So thanks for joining us, Carrie.
You're very welcome, Michelle.